This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states.
Are you looking for a Columbus car dealership built on tradition and trust? Byers Auto, family-owned since 1897, offers top new and pre-owned vehicles. Visit us or shop online at buyersauto.com. Byers Auto, driving the next generation of buyers.
Right, the kettle's boiled. Perfect timing. I'll just make myself a quick cuppa, take a deep breath and pretend I know exactly what I'm doing. Right, let's get started. Have you ever woken up on a Sunday morning with massive anxiety and said to yourself, I'm never drinking again, only to find yourself waving $50 at a barman by happy hour? Do you ever wonder why everyone else can stop at 1 while you end up at a dodgy after party holding hands with a weird bloke called Disco Dave? If so, it might be time to take a closer look at your reliable social crutch, alcohol. On this podcast, I investigate my own deeply dysfunctional dealings with booze and find out what it's really like navigating this alcohol-drenched world, one fizzy water at a time. I'm going to open up a shame shed of humiliating drinking stories to help you understand why waking up with one eyebrow missing and a kebab sticking out of your top pocket might actually be negatively impacting your health. So, what happens when you put down those cheeky pints and finally let go of those rewarding mummy wines? I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. I'm Victoria Vanstone, and this is Sober Awkward. Right, the kids are fed, but I've got to tell you what happened very quickly. I have literally just dropped my phone into a hot lasagna. Not beside it, no, not near it, into it. It was already cut open and it went into the sort of sloppy, cheesy bit in the middle. Anyway, nothing's quite straightforward in this house, I can tell you. While scraping bechamel sauce of my phone, I did find myself thinking about today's guest and today's topic. He's got nothing to do with lasagna. That was just something weird that happened before I started recording. He's somebody who knows a lot about alcohol-free drinks. 20 years ago, if you'd asked me what my future looked, I certainly wouldn't have ever predicted any of this. I wouldn't have predicted sobriety or podcasting, and I definitely wouldn't have predicted being the sort of person who gets excited about having an alcohol-free beer every now and again. In fact, if I'm honest, I used to be the pub's dream customer. The staff would see me walk in and think, brilliant, she's here. I'd stay for hours, buy rounds, order food I didn't need, and generally contribute far more to the local economy than was probably sensible. These days, I'm a very different customer. I walk into a pub, order one alcohol-free beer, have a little chat, remember where I parked the car, and leave definitely before I embarrass myself. In fact, I don't really embarrass myself at all anymore. I've become less of a liability too. The poor barman probably watches me leave and thinks, well, that was very disappointing, and closes the till. I think I'm a bit like one of those mothers groups that occupy a cafe table for 3 hours, order 10 baby chinos and 1 piece of banana bread, then stay for hours and leave behind a trail of wet wipes, raisins, and a fading smell of milky vomit. That's me. And anyway, all of this has got me wondering. The world is changing. More people are drinking less than ever before. Younger generations are questioning alcohol in ways previous generations never did. The alcohol-free market is booming. Pubs are stocking more alcohol-free drinks options, and supermarkets are dedicating entire aisles to drinks that would have seemed impossible a decade ago. Which sounds fantastic if you're someone who's sober or sober curious. But what does it mean for the drinks industry? Alcohol has always had a rather effective business model. Creating a substance that's addictive and selling it everywhere is actually a brilliant idea. It's just a downside that it causes so many bloody problems. It sells a product that often encourages people to buy more of the same product. Yes, clever. And then you've got people like me that come in and ruin everything by being sober. But the thing is, I often only buy one drink. So I'm really interested today to find out if this alcohol-free industry is ever going to be as successful as selling an addictive drug. And I wonder if pubs can survive if more people start drinking less. And are we witnessing one of the biggest cultural shifts around alcohol that we've ever seen? Thankfully, joining us today is someone who has spent a lot more time thinking about this than I have. Ben Gibbs is the founder of the Sober Boozers Club, an Alcohol Change UK ambassador, author, presenter and speaker. Since giving up alcohol in 2022, he's become one of the UK's leading voices in the alcohol-free beer movement. What I love about Ben is that he occupies a really interesting space in the sober world. He's not anti-pub or anti-beer. He's not standing on a soapbox telling everyone to stop having fun. Instead, he's exploring a different question. What happens if we keep the things we love about socialising, community and pub culture, but just remove the alcohol? Since getting sober, Ben has reviewed thousands of alcohol-free beers, built a thriving community and helped countless people realise that alcohol-free living doesn't have to mean sitting at home drinking warm tap water while everyone else has a good time. Today, we're talking about the changing face of drinking culture, the explosion of alcohol-free products, whether pubs can survive a more sober future, and whether alcohol-free beer helps or hinders sobriety. And what all of this means for the next generation. Because whether you drink, don't drink, or you're somewhere in the messy middle bit trying to work it all out, one thing is becoming increasingly clear. The conversation around alcohol is definitely changing, and Ben is right in the middle of it. So grab yourself a cuppa or an alcohol-free beer if that's your thing. Note, if it's not and it's triggery, then don't do it. Or just go and get a milkshake, whatever you've got at hand, and let's get into it. I wanted to start by asking Ben today, even though he's 4 years sober, does he still have a local that he goes to?
Gosh, well, a local now. I mean, so context, I live just outside of a city centre in a lovely town called Redditch. So the honest answer is I don't really have a local in Redditch anymore. Redditch is one of those kind of places that hasn't quite caught up. I mean, there's alcohol-free beer in bars, but your options are the likes of Heineken, Beck's Blue, Guinness, Corona, maybe a Peroni. So my local now, I mean, my old local has become a sports bar. It's not the local that I used to know and love. So no, I don't actually have a local at the moment. I'm more of a city visitor, if you like. I'm more of a tourist now when it comes to drinking.
Yeah. It's one thing I miss about England, actually, and Australia. I mean, there is a bar culture. It's more of a hotels that you go to. It's not the same, though. It's not the cosy pub vibe that, you know, I used to get in the 80s and 90s, where you got a roast dinner and the old guy behind the bar holding the pint up to the light and slippery bar mats and the smell of an English medieval pub. There's nothing quite like it. I mean, I do fantasize about that still, but I know whenever I go home, all my mates have fallen out and they don't hang out with each other anymore. So my vision of a pub of how it used to be actually doesn't exist anymore. They're all just in their homes being moody with each other. So how do you socialise now, Ben? I know that you're involved in the alcohol-free beer industry. I know your message is a little bit different to others. I mean, some people find out when they go sober that they're actually introverted. But I'm guessing from what I've read about you that you still want to experience the camaraderie of hanging around with your mates at a pub. Tell me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I got sober, I kind of felt like, although the sober internet community, if you like, is a wonderful, wonderful and multifaceted place, I didn't feel like there was anybody really talking to me and the person that I wanted to be, because I still wanted to go to pubs. I still wanted to use hospitality venues as I used to as a drinker. You know, it felt like that was a part of my identity long before I became an alcoholic. You know, I'd go to music venues, I'd go to bars, I'd go to pubs, and that was my life. So the thought of not being able to do that was kind of devastating. And even now, I'm not somebody that is a fan of a dry venue. I don't enjoy a dry bar. I would much rather live in a world where the alcohol-free options are as accepted as full alcohol options. and I can be a part of that furniture just with a slightly different thing in my hand. So my social life, the only difference in I suppose how I would have seen it as a negative, but now I see it as a positive, is I've just got a much earlier bedtime. I'll still go on these pub crawls. It's just now it gets to 11 o'clock and I'm like, right, I'm going now. You guys crack on. I'm going to get in my car and drive home. So my social life is pretty similar to what it was as a full drinker, to be honest.
I'm pretty impressed. 11 o'clock is quite late when you're still hanging out with drinkers. I think I can do it with sober people because I'm usually having intense chats about either our mother-in-laws or past trauma. But when I'm out with drinking people, I'm going to be honest with you, Ben, I've had a little bit of a change in my socialising recently because I think I took a long time to understand that I didn't enjoy it once people had got that ticket for a train that I didn't have a ticket for. They were out of the station heading into Crazy Town and I was kind of stuck on the station platform feeling like a sore thumb. And when that happened for me, I was like, right, I'm out. But I still wanted to socialise, and I do like a pub. I like the ambience, I like music, I love the feeling of excitement that brings me, and it is something I miss. But I did work too hard at it to the point where I was trying to prove something. Say, look, here I am, I'm sober and I can still go out. But I was coming home feeling quite wired and quite hyper because I'd been almost putting on a performance and putting on maybe a not so genuine smile because I was trying to show people, look, I can still do this. How long has it taken for you to relax back into that environment since going sober?
I'd say it maybe took about 6 months. I mean, my first pub visit as a sober person was actually to the local pub that has now become a sports bar. And I went in and I was like, this is so different. This is ridiculous. And I couldn't really understand why anybody would want to be in a venue like that anymore if you weren't drinking alcohol. Yeah. I suppose I'm quite fortunate that a lot of my social group, and I don't think it was completely accidental, they don't really drink heavy volumes of alcohol anymore, and the people that did I don't really see anymore. So my core social group are kind of very steady drinkers where they'll have maybe 4 or 5 pints through an evening and it won't get too leery. But you're right, there is a kind of it's a mist that almost descends, isn't it, at about, say, 10 o'clock, where all of a sudden, especially if you're moving between bars, you go from one bar to the next in that 10 to 11 o'clock window, and all of a sudden everyone's just a little bit different. And it's really, really bizarre to look around and see that people are at this place that you're just not in touch with anymore. It is a bizarre feeling. But now, I'd say, 4 years in, or nearly 5 years in actually, that I'm more of a casual observer, and I find it fascinating now to look at these little kind of microtransactions that might be happening that people have no idea about, and it's all happening under this substance that is just all-consuming, all-controlling. I find that fascinating now, in quite a sinister way, I'll admit, but still very, very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a social experiment every time I go out. I'm very conscious of what people are drinking, how often they're going to the bar, how it's affected them and their state of mind. And unfortunately, it now makes me worry about people, which isn't a great thing to do when you're out trying to relax. I see people overdoing it and I'm like, oh gosh, how are they getting home? Are they safe? Who are they with? I become like this sober parent for the entire pub. It's actually a bit embarrassing, and it's not the sort of feeling. I just want to go and relax. I don't want to be like conscious of everybody's drinking habits. It's ever so annoying, honestly. So yeah, it's so lovely to have you on the podcast today, Ben, because I do find this so interesting, and especially around alcohol-free beers. One of the questions that I get a lot is alcohol-free beer cheating? A lot of people, especially if they've been on the pointy end of alcoholism, question whether they might be triggered if they have an alcohol-free beer or any type of alcohol-free drink. What do you think about that?
I think it's completely valid. The trigger part is especially valid. For some people, just the taste, the sensation of just having a heavy glass with like this amber liquid with a nice sudsy head, that can trigger want for the real thing. And I think that's kind of everybody has to judge for themselves there. I don't think anybody can tell you, oh, that is a trigger, and that is going to trigger you. And I think anybody that does try to preach to everyone that alcohol-free beer should be avoided, I think that's a massive red flag for that individual personally, because no recovery journey is the same. I'm very lucky that I have never had the temptation to drink full-strength alcohol after drinking alcohol-free beer. Even on nights out, I've never once been tempted, because the alcohol-free beer for me is doing exactly what I need it to do. I'm drinking it for the enjoyment of the drink. There's a lot of people that ask me about the ABV, the 0.5%, whether that is still alcoholic, which it absolutely is not. A ripe banana can be 0.4% ABV. Some breads can be 1%. Fruit juices can be 1%, so that trace amount of alcohol that's in a 0.5% cannot get you intoxicated. It is scientifically impossible. So scientifically, no, it's not cheating. Whether that's going to trigger you to then want the real thing in terms of a taste association, I'd say that's for an individual to kind of have an honest conversation with themselves about.
I think in early sobriety, it can be a little bit shaky ground for some people. I totally agree with you. For me, I think I didn't have one for maybe a year of my sobriety. I just thought, right, I just need to have a time away from even tasting anything that was like beer. Not because I didn't think I could handle it so much, but perhaps because I was scared and I didn't know what to expect. And I was still unsafe in my surroundings a little bit, and unsafe in myself, because it was something new to me. And whenever something's new, of course, it's like riding a bike. You don't know how long it's going to last for, and you don't know how comfortable you are with it. But it took me a while. And now I probably have one alcohol-free beer a week, and I definitely have one when I go out. It's not for everyone, that's for sure, because there is that fact that it might taste like alcohol, and therefore it might trigger some people to drink an actual beer. I actually, in my 8 years of sobriety and doing this podcast, I haven't heard of that happening, honestly. It isn't something they go, oh my God, now I'm triggered, I've had the taste of beer and now I want the real thing. I haven't heard that very often at all. Have you?
I have heard it from maybe one person, and that was secondhand. It was somebody that was asking me if there were any other options that aren't beer related that people could go for, because their partner couldn't touch alcohol-free beer because it made them want to go out and get the real thing.
Right.
That was maybe two and a bit years ago, but that's the only situation that I can think of in the 4 and a bit years of doing this where it's been like, oh, okay, that's somebody that is triggered by this. Okay, good to know.
Yes, it does happen.
Yeah, I think it does happen. But as I say, talking about this every day, like I do, it's my little autism obsession, if you like. Alcohol-free beer. To have only heard that from one person, that's quite promising for me.
Yeah, totally.
In terms of it not affecting too many people. Of course, we'll never say that it doesn't affect anybody, because it obviously does. But yeah, I think it's quite a small pool.
I do look forward to my one alcohol-free beer, actually. I like it as a treat. It's the same feeling I used to get when I was going out drinking. And I'm like, oh yeah, I can still give myself a little reward and I can still have a treat. The fact that it doesn't have any alcohol in it doesn't bother me. But I do kind of anticipate it and look forward to it. I don't know whether that's 100% healthy or not, to look forward to something like that and then sort of reprieve or gain the satisfaction from it, because that's still kind of some addictive behaviour going in there. But let's not think about that too much. I don't have many treats left, quite honestly.
Well, that's it. I think it's a part of human conditioning. We can, if we actually go into, and I won't go into it in depth because I'm not clever enough, but if we go into the neuroscience behind it a little bit, you can dopamine condition anything with anything. So like you can process salt as a little treat, you can process sugar as a little treat, you can process chili as a little treat. It's just what your brain starts to see as a reward over time. And if we've conditioned that with alcohol,
Vic here. If you've ever fancied pressing pause on life for a bit, I've got something for you. I'm running 2 sober retreats this year in Thailand, and honestly, all you have to do is get yourself there, and I've taken care of the rest. It's a beautiful, fully alcohol-free resort, and yes, I've hired the whole bloody place just for you. Think daily yoga, massages, writing workshops, kayaking, island hopping, snorkelling trips, Thai boxing, and some seriously good food. There's 3 types of accommodation, something for everybody. Last year, 15 strangers arrived and left as proper sober mates. I'm hosting 1 retreat on my own and the second one with the lovely sober Dave. He brings the calm, grounded wisdom, and I bring the dodgy dance moves. So if you want to take a week to feel better, feel connected with people that get it, and maybe sweat a bit and laugh a lot in a weird jungle, head to soberawkward.com/retreat. And you never know, we might get to sip on coconuts together. See you in Thailand.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So, whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
The sensation of just having a beer, that immediately starts to hit that kind of dopamine trigger, and we immediately start to get a little bit of reward. So I think it's quite a healthy thing, really, to look forward to something like that and to enjoy it, because we're not actually having the substance.
Yeah.
If anything, I see that as quite liberating.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I said in the intro a little bit about my concern about the alcohol-free industry, just because, you know, if you're like me, I was a good customer. Everyone used to cheer when I entered the bar because they knew I was going to drink it dry and spend all my money. But now they sort of sigh when I come in because I'm going to stay and I'm going to have 1 beer and then I'm probably going to leave. I'm not going to spend hardly anything at all. I'm just not the great pub customer anymore. And I feel like the alcohol-free movement keeps growing. It keeps getting bigger and bigger. And people like me stop staying in the pub for 6 hours, though. That could be a problem. We switch to 1 alcohol-free beer and a packet of nuts, like I said. I don't know whether the math still works for pubs. Do you know what I mean? Can hospitality survive when people become healthier customers?
Yeah, I think it's a really valid question, and it's a question that a lot of people are asking at the moment. I think the answer is that, unfortunately, there are going to be venues that will end up shutting. I mean, we're seeing it at the moment. Far too many pubs, far too many hospitality venues are shutting, and I think it's more down to, you know, the VAT and all of that sort of business. Pubs are being absolutely squeezed from every direction at the moment. I don't think it's down to people like us, because there are still so many people that drink alcohol in a completely healthy way out there that will use the pub as I wish I could have used the pub, you know, moderately.
Yes.
Which I still wish I could, but I can't, so we're just going to move on. But I think that the venues that really thrive are going to be venues that start to see that a pub can actually become a completely different thing now. And that's not to say it's going to lose its identity, but, you know, you see coffee shops as a place where people go to do their work in the afternoon or to have meetings in the afternoon. With alcohol-free options, the pub can reclaim that status once again. You know, you have so many people talk about, oh yeah, the afternoon pint, the lunchtime pint that we can't do anymore because you're not allowed to drink alcohol at work, which is a good thing, I might add, that we can't drink alcohol at work, or that we shouldn't drink alcohol at work. The lunchtime pint can return with alcohol-free beer. It absolutely can. All of these opportunities for people to utilise these spaces just comes back with a good set of alcohol-free options. So I think hospitality can see this as an opportunity rather than something that is going to diminish its appeal. And it's also down to, you know, if, let's say, we're going to the pub and we're going to have 1 pint or 1 beer, we're going to go to the pub with a good alcohol-free option. We're not going to go to, your local pub that only has Heineken Zero. So the Heineken Zero pub is losing trade, whereas the pub with a good range of alcohol-free options alongside its full-strength stuff is actually gaining 2 customers that day.
There's a place near me that has 2 menus, one alcohol-free and one alcohol drinks. I was like practically crying onto the waitress's lap, just like, thank you for being so inclusive. It's like the first time somebody's really thought about me, and I don't go anywhere else now. I appreciate it so much when somebody thinks about the sober person, especially if they do a posh mocktail and put some lychees in it and an umbrella. I'm easily
that's
pleased,
always a good
Ben.
time. I know what you mean, though. When you see those menus that actually feel curated, it's like, yes, thank you. Yeah. Thank you for just getting it.
Totally. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, I'm very, very thankful. Now, you've tasted over 1,000 alcohol-free beers. Be honest, how many were absolutely bloody awful?
Oh, I would say, so if we're going to do 1,000, there's probably about... Out of 1,000, probably 100.
Oh, okay, so 10%.
Dreadful.
Okay, yeah.
I would say.
Pissy?
I would say. Yeah, pretty kind of, just, you know that kind of, it's almost like a fake caramel. You drink it and you're like, what is that? There's a sweetness there, but that is not like anything that exists naturally. It's just chemical and, ugh. And this is why I say that Heineken Zero is the most dangerous drink in the world. And I really think it is, because a lot of people are going to drink a Heineken Zero as their first alcohol-free beer.
I see.
And they're going to taste it and go, what is this?
Yeah.
This is not beer. And there's so many... If I would have done that, and if I hadn't have been so damn persistent with trying a load of different alcohol-free beers, I'd have gone back into addiction.
It's like people that go to AA and they get put off sobriety by going to their first AA meeting and not fitting in with the people that are there. It's a similar thing. If something puts you off when you're so fragile and so vulnerable and you're so desperate to still fit in and something goes wrong. I mean, it also reminds me of the first time I went to see a dodgy therapist, and it was an awful experience, and it took me another 20 years to have therapy again because of that experience. We're quite fickle humans, aren't we? And if something goes wrong when we feel that way, we're like, oh no, I can't do this anymore, I'm out. So I totally hear you about that Heineken Zero, that you're out, you think, right, this is my first time out, not drinking, I'm going to try an alcohol-free beer. And to then be disappointed about it, it would shake your ground, your solid sobriety ground, and make you go, oh no, I can't do this anymore. So it's really important that the beer, if it is alcohol-free, that it's good. Yeah,
and also, why am I... If this is my treat, if this is my way of dealing with, I say dealing with, but my way of enjoying an evening, why am I going to settle for this crap?
Yeah.
Heineken Zero, Beck's Blue. Look at all of the taps that you've got on with beer with alcohol in there. Give me something decent, even if it's only in a bottle or a can. And especially early days, because I'll be honest, any excuse for me to get out of my sobriety, I'd have taken it, quite frankly. I had to get sober, but I didn't really want to get sober in the first 6 months. These beers were just a way of me convincing myself that it wasn't actually as shitty as it felt,
Just a little bit about your sobriety and drinking story quickly. I gather from what you've just said that you started drinking alcohol-free beers quite early on in your sobriety. Were you using them like some people do as a replacement?
Oh, yeah, massively. I mean, this is how hilarious my alcohol-free journey is, from a person that didn't know anything about beers to where I am now. I remember drinking alcohol-free beer that had 0.5% ABV in it, thinking that would just help with the withdrawal slightly. And then I'd move to 0.0%. And now I'm the person that's telling you, you can't get drunk on 0.5, it won't affect you. But early doors, I definitely was using it as right, I'm going to have these beers and this will get me through tonight. And that was all I was focused on, was just getting through. If there's one thing that, Alcoholics Anonymous, I think does very well, it's just 24 hours. And I think that's wonderful. And that is what I was doing, essentially. Get through tonight, have your couple of beers. You've got them there, that's fine. Go to bed, get up, do it again. And that was it for the first for the first month maybe. And then I started to get a little bit bored. I drank every alcohol-free beer in the supermarket, and I was thinking, there's got to be more out there. So I just thought, I wonder if there's any craft breweries that are just doing alcohol-free beer. So I looked them up, and then the rest, as they say, is history, really. I think I ordered it would have been about 60 beers that just landed on my doorstep from different breweries, and the exploration began from there, really.
It's nice that it's not an addiction and it's more of a hobby now. There's a big difference there, isn't there?
Yes. I mean, I'd say I still drink like an addict. Don't get me wrong, the amount of beer that I will drink. But it is that kind of collectability side of it now that speaks to me, and it is the hobbyist in me that wants to try all of these beers. And also now that it's a part of, what I do day in, day out, really. If I'm not drinking a different beer every day, that's a video that I'm not uploading that day. That is a beer that I'm not discussing with the sober beer drinking community, even though it is a very niche part of the internet. So I feel like if I'm not drinking a different beer every day, I'm not maximising my opportunity to share that beer with people.
I bet you never thought your drinking career would be an alcohol-free one.
No, it was ridiculous, really. And the thing is, as well, I know more about beer now, and I appreciate beer more now than I ever did as a drinker. I was the kind of person that would have 4 bottles of Holston Pills on the table, or 4 cans rather of Holston Pills on the table, and try to remember which one I was using as the ashtray. That was my kind of drinking in addiction. Whereas now I'm much more of a beer snob.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. We can be smug wankers in our sobriety. It's kind of our mission.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's the thing. Like, a lot of people talk about, if you get sober and you're gracious and it's all delicious and beautiful, but nobody talks about getting sobriety if you're going to get into sobriety, if you're going to use it to weaponize it against your friends and make them feel worse than you. That's my whole vibe.
Yeah, totally love it. Yeah. So the alcohol-free industry, the alcohol industry, in fact, is changing. Mm-hmm. Younger people are drinking less than previous generations. In the UK, Gen Z are significantly more likely to be non-drinkers than millennials or Gen X. Alcohol-free beer is one of the fastest-growing drinks categories in the world. And major brewers like Guinness, Heineken and Budweiser, as you said, have invested heavily in alcohol-free versions because they can see where the market is heading. Do you feel like that, Ben, that this is a growing industry?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think early on it felt like maybe it could be a bit of a phase. Whereas now I think we can see that it's not actually a phase. This isn't going away. This is going to continue to grow. I think the growth will get steadier because I think there is a ceiling here. Alcohol-free beer will never be as big as full-strength beer. It just won't. That's completely unrealistic. Would I like it to be? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I would. Growth that we're having is going to continue.
The industry could never be as big because it lacks the addiction aspect.
Yes.
When I'm going into a pub to have a pint of beer, when I was a drinker, I was staying for 5. There was no doubt about that. And that's the difference, isn't it? Can this be sustainable? Can pubs survive purely by connection rather than intoxication? That was kind of my question.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a blend of both. I think that's the only outcome that can work when you look at how pubs operate and how drinkers operate, is that I think as more people decide not to drink alcohol, as we were saying earlier, I think they're going to use these spaces slightly differently. But I think there's always going to be an element of people that will want to have 5 pints that evening and get a little bit merry, but might not want to do that every single day.
Yeah.
I think it will be interesting to see if future generations start to then fight against this sobriety trend and go back to the kind of I'm drinking booze again trend. Like I'm seeing a lot more people recently in the last 12 months start to smoke cigarettes. And I don't know if it's just me that's noticing, But it's kind of like people are smoking cigarettes again, to the point where I was shocked when I started to see people smoking cigarettes. And on the internet as well, people saying, oh, I smoke cigarettes and here's why. And it's like, I thought that we were past this, guys. I mean, as a former, tobacco was the love of my life. Well, tobacco and cocaine, quite frankly, were the two loves of my life. Obviously, we don't touch any of those anymore. But I'm wondering if now we're going to start to see people kind of push back against sobriety a little bit and start to push for being able to drink alcohol again, or feeling like they can drink alcohol again without having to explain it. I think we're at a very interesting crossroads at the moment.
I think it can be a bit annoying for people to be thinking about wellness all the time. I mean, it's shoved down our throats. If it's not everyone having an ice bath, they're hiking up a mountain, going for an adventure swim, or, you know, there's this pressure to be so well. And I'm a rebel at heart, and I guess you are too. Most ex-drinkers are. We're total rebels, and for me, even what I do sometimes, I'm like, fucking hell, I wouldn't want someone like me near me. I would have been like, mate, shut the hell up, you are boring as hell. You know, I can feel that happening. Like, you don't want to be around people that are trying to be bloody perfect all the time. It's incredibly annoying, but you know, we've got to look after our health as we get older and all these other things, all these other aspects that come into play. But I definitely agree with you. The rebel in me still, even now, wants to push back against the wellness scene and just be like, oh, God, let's just all run naked down the streets and be crazy like the old days.
Well, the amount of people that have asked me to run marathons for them, since kind of finding my profile and seeing what I do and being like, oh, sober person that talks about alcohol-free living and alcohol-free beer, do you want to run this marathon for us? And it's like, do I fuck? I will die. I will die. You know, the people that get into sobriety and then take up running and do all of this, like, awesome. Well done, you. I can never be that guy. You know, I'm still a pub goer. I am somebody that will sit in a pub all day and be quite happy about it, just without booze now. You know, and I think that this is what I was kind of saying earlier, there was nobody really that I felt like, oh, I can relate to that person, that was, you know, completely flawed in so many ways. You know, my sweet tooth is still my biggest enemy. And that is something that I do need to tackle. This is a very serious conversation with myself, is I need to stop eating so much bloody chocolate because I just can't get enough of it at the moment. Being completely healthy, I'm definitely not there. I'm not a wellness person. No. I'm a beer person primarily, but just doesn't drink booze anymore because it was. Eventually, it would have killed me. It would have killed me.
Yeah, I'm not a wellness person either. I mean, I eat too much, but I do exercise more than ever, but I'm not your perfect. I've been asked to do a few marathons sometimes too. I'm like, no, do you know what my knees are like? Like, gosh, I could never do a marathon. That is not on my agenda at all. And in fact, I love watching things about people climbing Everest and things like that. But I just sit there and go, well, why the bloody hell would anyone do that? It seems like utter madness. So yeah, just because we're sober, it doesn't mean to say that we are 100% the healthiest people in the world. And I am very conscious of the fact that, you know, people don't like you banging on about wellness all the time on Instagram and stuff. I try and keep it real, you know, stuffing a few lint balls in my face and looking like a bit of a mess. That's generally my brand. So that's okay. I'm keeping it real. What have you learnt, Ben, about the psychology of drinking from spending so much time around these amazing alcohol-free alternatives?
I think I've learned that actually a lot of it isn't about the intoxication. A lot of it is about what you think you are getting from the intoxication. There's a lot more to drinking a pint than the ethanol. That would be the main thing that I think I've learned. And, you know, I learned that for the first time I started to notice that was after my first alcohol-free beer on tap. When I walked back to my car and felt like I had jelly legs and had to literally go back into the venue just to double check that beer was actually the alcohol-free version, because I felt a little bit of a buzz to the point where I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Why? I can't be drunk. Surely I'm not drunk. And that's what got me fascinated in actually what we think we're getting out of alcohol versus what we are actually getting, and what side we can keep. All of the social side, all of the alleged kind of, we talked about it earlier, the dopamine hit, the pleasure receptors in our brain that are telling us that we're having a good time, the reward system that we build for ourselves, all of that can be achieved with alcohol-free beer, with the taste of a great alcohol-free beer. You don't need the ethanol for any of that. That would be the main thing that I have taken from this in terms of psychologically.
Yeah, it's interesting. We had Lee Mack on the podcast once who looked at this in a very interesting way. I mean, I've mentioned it a million times on here because I love his point of view. He said in that episode that alcohol gets all the credit for a good night out. And when you're a drinker, you wake up and you see your mates and you're like, oh, bloody hell, wasn't that brilliant? Did you see Dave? He fell off the thing, and then Sharon fell over, and, you know, the karaoke. We all think, oh, that was a good night because we were drunk. And he's realised in his sobriety that he still gets those stories. He still gets those feelings. I mean, he doesn't stay out as late, and he looks forward to a fizzy water and blackcurrant over a pint of lager now, and still gets those same exciting feelings. But the result is different. And the things that make him happy in the pub now are the ambience and the people and the, you know, the alcohol-free drinks and being with the people that he loves and the music. It's not the alcohol. And I think it wasn't when we were drinkers either. We thought it was. We thought it was 10xing our night out and that we were feeling good because we had this ethanol running through our system, and that was making everything a billion times better. This kind of euphoric feeling, one beer in, that, you know, went downhill pretty quickly. So it's all a bit of a trick, isn't it? And you start to realise when you learn about the psychology of drinking that the effects of alcohol, you're really anaesthetising yourself. And yes, it does feel good, and you do feel that high after that first drink, but it wears off pretty quick and you have to have another one, and then you're kind of chasing the dragon, as it were. And I loved it that he said that. Alcohol did get the credit for 25 years of my life. I thought it was what made me fun and what made me interesting. But I think I'm still fun and interesting now. It's just that I don't fall over as much.
Yeah, no, I can definitely relate to that. And I think also alcohol for me, it was the excuse to go out and do things. So I wouldn't be interested in going out to do anything socially if a drink wasn't involved. So actually, if I look back at the years that I was in active addiction, alcohol was always the main event, because I wouldn't have been there if alcohol didn't feature in some regard. So actually, I didn't have any other opportunity to enjoy myself without alcohol when I was a drinker, because if I was going out, then it was going to involve booze. Whereas now, if I want to go somewhere, booze is never going to be a part of it. So actually what it's given me, sobriety, is an excuse to go out and actually enjoy myself without it. You know, all of those times that I thought were incredible, and all of the great nights that I had on booze, if they could have been just as good without booze, I'll never know, because if booze wasn't there, then I wouldn't have been there to begin with. Whereas now, I will be there for all of those times, because booze doesn't even come into the equation.
Yeah, there would have been a lot less time spent in pub toilets, wouldn't there?
I'd have thought so, yeah. Oh my goodness, yeah.
I wonder how many years I spent in pub toilets, either being sick or snorting lines of coke off a bog lid.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time there. I remember people used to come and bang on the doors because me and my mates had been there for so long. My friends and I, when we lived in Brighton, we used to be called the Flies, because if anyone had any cocaine, we were like flies round shit. And we would... And we would be in the pub toilet, you know, all gathered in one cubicle with somebody looking over the top trying to get a piece of the action. So yeah, we're still called the Flies nowadays on our WhatsApp group. But yeah, everyone's into well-being, so nobody's doing anything like that anymore. There's no bog lids involved in our lives apart from cleaning them.
Yeah, of course, very important. For years, I had a great relationship with alcohol and cocaine, but it was completely unsustainable. And when it became a real problem, when it started hurting people that wasn't just, my liver, when it started actually affecting how I felt, and when it started affecting other people, that's when it was like, no, this has to stop. I can't do this anymore. When it was just kind of silently rotting my insides away, but I still felt great, it was fine, you know. But then it became apparent over a very quick period of time, really, that, right, no, this isn't healthy anymore. This has to stop.
It's like a trajectory, isn't it? It seems fun at first, which is why we keep doing it until it hits the wall. And everybody does hit a wall at some stage. And actually, hitting that wall is quite a comfortable place to be, because it means you have to make a few changes. And yeah, it might be painful in the moment, but actually you get up and you start again, and you're here with me now, chatting about it all and helping so many people, Ben, I'm sure. If there's someone listening out there today who's worried about trying an alcohol-free beer or hasn't had one before, what would you say to them if they're in their early sobriety?
If you're worried about it and it's about the taste association, maybe just hold off. Maybe just hold off. That would always be my first kind of step, if you like. If you're thinking this might trigger me, then don't even put the possibility in front of you. But if you keep thinking about it, and you haven't been tempted to go and get full strength beer, and you've only been tempted to try an alcohol-free beer, give it a go. Give it a go in a safe space, you know, with a group of friends. Go to the pub, get yourself an alcohol-free beer, make it very apparent to all of your friends that you're not drinking alcohol and you don't want to drink alcohol. And if they're supportive, then they will understand that and they will accept that. So you've got your little safety net there, and just give it a go. And don't go in with a beer that you have heard of. Don't try a Stella. Don't try a Heineken. Maybe try a Guinness, because that is actually very good. That's the only one. But if you go in for a beer that you used to drink, now in alcohol-free form, you are almost always going to be disappointed. And I had that with Sierra Nevada. Sierra Nevada was my favourite beer in the world, or one of them certainly. They released an alcohol-free beer, and it is very good in its own right, but it's not Sierra Nevada. So I would say try something different and just enjoy it for what it is. And look around, look at the beer in your glass. Nobody is going to know that you're drinking an alcohol-free beer. Nobody is going to judge you for that. They're just going to see somebody with a glass of beer in their hand, and you know, if you don't enjoy it, you can put it down. You're not wasting any ethanol. You're not wasting any alcohol. Got to try these things.
Yeah, for me in those early days, Ben, it was like a little bit of a security blanket, because I didn't tell anyone that I was sober. I didn't want to. It felt too private and too close to home. I didn't feel like it was anyone else's business. It was actually great. And it was the first time I've ever kept a secret, quite honestly. It was a security blanket for me because I looked like I was still me, the me that I thought I wanted to be. And in early sobriety, you feel like you still want to be the person that's still the drinker. And actually now that's not how I feel at all. And I'm happy to go in and say, this is who I am. I am not that party animal. I'm going home for a game of Scrabble and putting a blanket over my knees. I am not that person anymore. But I do think in early sobriety, it can help you to maybe keep socialising a little bit, or maybe help you try and transition into a sober person and not, you know, feel left out or feel like you're losing something, or that feeling of FOMO. It can help you just continue your life without anybody asking you too many questions or nudging you and saying what's wrong with you. You can actually just sort of pretend that you're still drinking if that's what you want to do. I don't necessarily recommend that. I would say, you know, if you are going sober, tell people I am sober and be proud of it. Don't carry on pretending to drink. But it can be helpful. That's all I'm trying to say.
No, I can completely see that. I love that take the transition, because it very much is a transition from drinker to non-drinker. And I can remember getting back from my first bar crawls completely sober and just feeling so proud of myself, and also so excited to then go and do it again. Because I was like, oh, I can do this. I can actually do this and not have a terrible time. I was very lucky with my social group, really, because they all saw my fall from grace. So they all knew that I had to get sober. And in fact, it was me deciding to get sober that kept a lot of them in my life. So I was very lucky in that regard, is that I was kind of outed as a sober person anyway by my actions. So it wasn't a subtle decision that I had to make. I didn't feel like I was on my own with that. which was quite handy, really, for those bar visits. I would say that people knew where I was at, and they knew that they couldn't peer pressure me into drinking full strength, because it would be really bloody dangerous for them to do that. For themselves as well, because nobody wanted to deal with drunk me by the end, I can tell you that.
Yeah, you think you're annoying people when you give up drinking. They're going to be sad that you're not doing karaoke with them anymore. But actually, I think what most people find is everybody's absolutely relieved. They're so fed up.
They don't have to deal with that person anymore.
Total liability.
I think it's probably the best thing that I've ever done for any of my friends, to be honest.
Keep your friendships, get sober. Well, Ben, tell us a bit about what you're doing now and where people can find you.
So, essentially, all I do is drink beer. And that is basically my life. Not a lot has changed in the 4+ years that I've been doing this. But no, I talk about alcohol-free beer in depth, and I try to look at sobriety from the viewpoint of a drinker, somebody that still likes to indulge a little bit too much. And that's my life, really. It's just to prove that things don't have to completely change when you get sober. If you're interested in alcohol-free beer, Sober Boozers Club is the community. It's primarily on Instagram. I do have a TikTok, but I'm not very good at TikTok.
No, me neither.
And I'm going to put that down to age.
Yeah.
I'm going to put that down to age.
Yes, I will too.
But yeah, all alcohol-free beer stuff. I've built a really lovely community of people. I think it's the largest community in the world just on alcohol-free beer.
Amazing.
And that's what I've tried to keep it to. There's a bit of sobriety stuff in there because, I am a sober person and sometimes things trigger me and I want to talk about it.
Yeah.
But primarily, it's just about the beer for me.
Amazing. Oh, thank you so much. It's been a really fascinating topic to talk about, yeah. And, yeah, I do like to go out for my alcohol-free beer. In fact, it's my husband and I's anniversary on Thursday, and we've actually looked for a pub that has an alcohol-free beer on tap because there's not many of them here in Australia. I'm going to have my one alcohol-free beer for the week on Thursday night, which I'm thoroughly looking forward to already. But thank you, Ben, and thank you for your honesty, and I love what you're doing, and keep up the good work.
Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Right, should we go down the pub then?
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, everybody. If you're questioning your relationship with booze, struggling to moderate, or your hangovers are causing anxiety, it might be time to reach out for some support. Talk to a mate, book in with your GP, go to an AA meeting, or find an online support group. I've got one. Just head to cuppa.community. For more resources, head to soberawkward.com, where you'll find details of our amazing Thailand sober holidays, the 30-day sobriety guide, books, blogs, writing courses, and loads more. I know this sobriety thingamajig can feel uncomfortable at first, but there is help out there. Find your community, connect, and start to feel the awkward and do it anyway. And if you've enjoyed the Sober Awkward podcast, please rate it, review it, and share it with your mates. Because honestly, my mates are bored of hearing about it.
You're locked into a lot of things you can't change. Weather, traffic. Hey, stay in your lane. Your wireless carrier's latest price hike. But you can unlock a better way. Unlock the savings at Boost Mobile and save up to $600 a year. Switch to the $25 a month unlimited wireless plan. No contracts, no price hikes, and you keep your phone. Stop being locked into their games. Unlock the savings at boostmobile.com/unlock. Based on average annual single line of payment of AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile customers compared to 12 months on the Boost Mobile unlimited wireless plan as of January 2026. For full offer details, visit boostmobile.com.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
I just want to say that I'm back with a new podcast, Feedback with Ira Madison III. Every Thursday, I'll dissect whatever's taking over my group chat like who Wes Wilson from Summer House is banging this week, whether film criticism and black art can actually coexist, why every man on a dating app is either illiterate or reading Middlemarch with no in-between, and whatever the hell is going on with heated rivalry fans on the internet. You know exactly who you are. I'll be joined by friends and other culture makers to dissect pop culture, politics, and the media, and all the ways the internet has rewired our brains permanently. New episodes of Feedback drop every Thursday starting June 18th. Subscribe now to Feedback with Ira Madison III wherever you get your podcasts. I should get that.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.
So, as you probably know, my comedy memoir, 1,000 Wasted Sundays, is officially out. All my magnificent fuck-uppery in one awkward hit. If you'd like to get your hands on a copy, it's now available from all good bookstores.
We always say all good bookstores, don't we?
Yeah.
Are there bad bookstores?
No, probably ones with moody sellers.
Oh yeah, really depressed librarian folk.
Yes,
okay,
yeah. So there are probably some, but we're only storing it in the good ones.
It's only made it into the goodies.
You can also get it from all good online retailers. The print version and ebook are out now, and the audiobook will be available in March. I've been writing my memoir for 5 years. It will make you laugh, cry and cringe, and hopefully inspire a few people to reconsider their relationship with booze. If you love the podcast, then I think you'll love the book, even if I do say so myself. Hamish has read it. What did you think?
I feel like I know a little bit too much about you now, to be honest, Vic. Look, I really loved it. It was hilarious and surprisingly moving, but I feel like I've seen you naked in a literary sense. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's worrying.
Yeah. From an emotional point of view, seriously, it wobbled my teeny weeny wooden heart, Vic.
Okay.
My teeny little wooden heart.
Well, his wooden heart is broken. Anyway, so if you do manage to get your filthy mitts on a copy, please do me a favour and head to goodreads.com and give me a review. Doing that will help me get it out there to those that need a bit of sober support. So there you have it. My story, unwanted warts and all. Come and get awkward with me.
Not to be too demanding or anything, but seriously, go and buy it now.
Go and buy it right now.
Yeah, don't just tell your friends, buy it, and then buy your friends one or two.
Yeah, don't give them a copy, buy it, yeah.
And you know what, don't be careful where you store it. If you lose it, you can always buy another 5.
Buy another one.
Yeah.